Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week so far. In this class, everyone, we are looking at IELTS speaking. Specifically, we're focusing today on part 3 of the speaking. And we are looking for those band 9 caliber answers. What does it take? How should you speak? What kind of vocabulary, grammar do you need to use to get those high band scores? As we wait for some students to join into the class, welcome Blueberry, good day to you as well. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. For general IELTS, visit GIELTS-help.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. This lesson is a speaking class, so make sure to speak and repeat. So copy my intonation, copy my pronunciation, my sentences as best as you can. Welcome, Laura. Good to see you in the class. Hi, Karan. Hi, Ritesh. Nice to see many students joining in. Our academic IELTS website looks like this. It's got this blue background. You'll see we have the British Council IELTS Test Registration Center logo for us here. We are certified British Council agents. You can click this big red button to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Doesn't cost a lot of money, so it's well worth it. Our general IELTS looks like this with the green background. Again, you can click this big red button to join us there. When you do that, you have access to tons and tons of resources. So you click the join now, you get a My Student account, and in your My Student account, you have computer-based practice exams, a full online course, workbooks, videos, CDs, and much, much more. So check that out. It is absolutely well worth it. Hi, Solyev. Hi, Arminder. Good to have you in the class. What's up, Solyev? Our speaking part 3 is up, and it's coming up soon. If you have questions, students, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. I will gladly help you. Okay. We have apps. Our apps are linked to our websites. They work together. Academic IELTS Help, the app links to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help, the app links to gieltshelp.com. So you can get those apps from your app stores, okay, from Google Play or Apple App Stores. So check those out. This class is the last for this week. Then tomorrow until Tuesday, there's no classes. That's usually the way it is. And then Wednesday, I'm back with speaking part 1. So we have a full week of classes. You see lots of classes, task 2, reading, speaking, grammar, all for the IELTS. You can always see our schedule on our YouTube posts as well as on our Instagram, okay? Chiniere, I'm having a great day so far. Thank you for asking. All right, everyone, let's get into speaking part 3. So speaking part 3 comes just after speaking part 2, of course. And it's usually connected to speaking part 2. So you're in the IELTS speaking interview. You finish part 1. Part 1 is about you, about a general topic, your hobbies, your favorite color, the food you like to eat. And then part 2 will be a cue card where you have to talk for 2 minutes on a specific topic. As somebody said, they just did their exam yesterday, and yesterday's cue card for them was talk about a piece of clothing that somebody bought for you at some point. So that was their part 2. And then comes part 3. Part 3 is connected to part 2. So the examiner will ask you questions on a similar topic as part 2. Part 3, they're very specific questions. You have to give specific, accurate, well-developed answers, okay? So, Amanpreet, good luck on your exam on the 11th. Okay, so that's kind of my first piece of advice for IELTS speaking part 3 is for this part, in part 3, you must use professional language, great communication, and you have to provide specific and well-developed answers. But, and this is a big but, do not go off topic. Okay? So you have to stay on topic. So that's what we're going to practice. Laura, our full courses, if you're asking about our premium IELTS package, it's not monthly payments. It's just one time. It's a one-time payment. Okay? And then you get access as long as you need it or for lifetime. Okay? Riza, we accept credit cards and PayPal, no debit cards. So thanks for those questions. Okay. All right. Chinyere, I'm guessing that your exam is coming up on December 4th, not November 4th. Otherwise, you'd have to invent time travel and go back in time. Okay, so here we have part 3 speaking, and the IELTS examiner is going to introduce the topic for you. So they're going to say something like, let's talk about complaining. Well, we're human. We like to complain. So this topic might be like, woohoo, I can do this. I can talk about complaining, right? We all want to be positive. We want to avoid complaining, but complaining is something that we do. It's part of our human nature. All right. So let's get right into this, and I'll give you strategies and examples as we develop these, okay? All right. Here we go. So let's talk about complaining. First question, what are common situations in society where people make complaints? So give me a nice full sentence answer. The examiner's questions look like this. So they always have a follow-up question that they will ask after they ask you the main question. Okay. So here the main question is, what are common situations in society where people make complaints? Okay. Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Visualize, okay? So picture the situation where you have been complaining in the past where you're like, this is unfair, give me my money back, or some kind of other situation, okay? All right, Chinyere says, yes, it's December 4th. All right, well, Chinyere, that's good. You've got about a month, so study lots, okay? Musafir, that's good on you for watching lots of our videos, and I wish you good luck on your IELTS exam, okay? All right. So what are some common situations? Think about ways to paraphrase this. So, for instance, another way to say common situation is typical situations. Okay? So, okay. So some typical cases where people speak out for their rights. Okay, speak out for their rights is an expression, and it's a phrasal verb or an idiomatic expression that paraphrases complaint. Okay. Laura says people would make negative claims when services or when the service is not professional. Okay, give me some more information, Laura. So remember, Laura, what I said at the beginning. So you have to provide specific and well-developed answers for a high band score. So that would not be considered a well-developed answer, Laura. You need at least 3 times that amount of information. Okay? Vasai says there are various types of complaints, but our person complaining about is bad experience. Okay, Vasai, again, same thing. It's not a well-developed answer. Kevin Bowie says people voice complaints when they are disappointed, like ordering products online and receiving it not as advertised, or when they are disturbed. Last month, when there was a restoration of gravel roads in my area, the locals filed a complaint email to the city council for the construction cacophony. Okay, for the construction noise, I would say. Cacophony is okay, but it's okay, fine. It's acceptable, Kevin. It's a nice word. Loud crackling sounds. Okay. All right. Kyle says outage of electricity, but Kyle, you need to put that into a full sentence. Okay. Ois says there are many problems in the community which need to claim to authorities such as stole, discriminations, theft, discrimination, violence, even the noise of neighbors. Just last month, my neighbor complained about our other neighbor too. Okay, oh, it's not bad. You still have some grammatical mistakes in there. Make sure to correct that. Mantis, the question is, what are common situations in society where people make complaints? So that was the question. Okay. All right. Some typical cases where people speak out for their rights are when they feel cheated, spending their money on a product or service because they feel that they did not receive the quality that they expected, or when they feel that their privacy is being invaded, such as noise from neighbors. In fact, I complained to my landlord just last week when my next door neighbor threw a late night party. All right. Okay, so repeat after me. Here's a typical answer, okay? This is what's required for a band 9. So Laura, this is what I meant when I said you need a well-developed answer. And you see that here I have an answer with several points because it's situations. Situations means more than one situation. So you need at least a couple situations where people make complaints. I have an explanation, and then I have a smooth example emphasizing my point. So here we go. Repeat after me. Some typical cases where people speak out for their rights are when they feel cheated spending their money on a product or service because they feel that they did not receive the quality that they expected, or when they feel that their privacy is being invaded, such as noise from neighbors. In fact, I complained to my landlord just last week when my next door neighbor threw a late night party. All right, that will definitely get you that band 9, all right? Notice that wide range of vocabulary. We've got lots of paraphrasing going on. You've got good explanation going on, a variety of grammar forms going on. So that's what you want for that high band score. We'll practice more and I'll give you more tips. Let's keep going. So the examiner will likely follow up this question with another question like, why are these common situations? So of course this depends on your answer. And this is why you want to give more than one situation, because if you only give one situation, this will sound almost awkward. You'll be like, oh, but I only gave one situation. So the examiner says, why are these common situations? Okay. All right. And Laura, I see the thumbs up, so that's good. All right, Krub, I hope your IELTS went really well. I'll keep my fingers crossed that you get a great score, okay? Dumby, if you have no idea of the question, then you have to ask for the next question. Don't just talk about anything or everything, because that will hurt your score and you're wasting time. So Dumby is asking, what do we speak if we have no idea for the question? Go to the next question if you didn't understand it. But you should always have an idea, okay? All right, so give me a nice big answer for this one. Why are these common situations, okay? So I'm going to give an answer and then we'll see how you do, okay? All right. So there we go. There's my answer. Ois has got an answer. So let's look at the student answers first, and then I'll go through my answer after. So Ois says, because those problems are a part of people's lives and they happen due to relations among individuals, and many mistakes occur when people go for shopping or clients have services from workers. Okay, Ois, that's quite good. You have a couple of missing words, so notice how I included the verb, because those problems are a part. Problems exist. Anytime you have a subject in existence, you need the be verb, Ois. So the is verb, the be verb, or if it's plural, problems, you need the are verb in here, because those problems are a part of people's lives, okay? So again, Ois, grammar is getting better, definitely much better than before, but still needs a bit of work. So keep working on it, okay? Good effort, okay? All right, Syed Ali Shah, these live classes are Wednesday to Saturday. You will see the schedule on our YouTube community posts, okay? All right. Mirza says, these are common situations because they happen all around the world where people complain about a particular event where they feel cheated. Mirza, it's a bit too general. Like, I understand what you're saying, but you're not really telling me much. Okay? So you have to give me a little bit more clarity in your explanation. Okay? Chinyere says situations that people most of the time shout out about are issues of poor power supply, which affects individuals, and they complain intensively. Chinyere, again, same idea. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not completely clear on the details here. Okay, so you need more clarity. Right? Blueberry says mostly those situations are inevitable because of human needs. These situations are a result of necessity. For instance, having a party every now once in a while is a human need, and it's bound to create some conflict. Blueberry, you have some good ideas. Your explanation is good, but here it's unclear. So I have to fix it so it's comprehensible. So what you want to do, students, is you want to find that combination between what Blueberry said and what Mirza and Chinyere said, where it's specific, so it's a clear explanation, and it's comprehensible. It's easy to understand. Okay? All right. Habibullayev, I am giving you good vocabulary to use all throughout this lesson. So anytime you hear a new word, write it down. Okay, you're going to see some now. And I'm not just giving you new words, Azizbek. I'm giving you expressions, idioms, phrasal verbs as well. Okay. So here is my answer. So why are these common situations? Again, speak and repeat. So repeat after me, okay? These kinds of conflicts occur frequently because people these days are consumers and spend money daily. So the likelihood of getting a bad product is quite high. Also, people are often ignorant of each other. So it commonly occurs that they step on each other's toe. What I mean is that my neighbor didn't even think to ask me about having a party or how that may affect my life. Okay? All right, so notice the connection here. So back to the first question, right? What are common situations in society where people make complaints? So I talk about getting bad products and services. Okay, and I talk about noisy neighbors and complaining to my landlord about a late night party that my neighbor was throwing. Okay, and then in the follow-up, why are these common situations? Here, I explain that the reason it's common is because we spend money every day. So there's an increased chance, right, that on one day at some time, we're going to get a bad product or a bad service, like a cold plate of food at a restaurant. Okay, so keep it simple. All right. Now, a couple of words and expressions to pay attention to here. One is ignorant. Okay, ignorant means to be. Anybody know a synonym of that? To be ignorant. There's a very good synonym for that that also starts with an I. Okay, and meanwhile, the other term that you want to pay attention to here is to step on someone's toe. Okay, so to step on someone's toe, that's an idiom, obviously. Okay. Before I explain that, so to be ignorant, what does that mean? So Musafir says uneducated. Oas says it means do not care. Blueberry means says it's illiterate. Okay. The other word that you should think of here is inconsiderate. Okay. So think about the word to ignore. To be unknowing and unthinking of the circumstance. Okay, it's quite a strong word. If you call somebody ignorant, be ready for a fight. It is a strong word, okay? People will take offense to it. So if you tell someone you are ignorant, it's not cursing, but it's very strong. It's almost as strong as cursing at someone, okay? So calling somebody ignorant is quite strong. You can use it in a personal sense too. You can say, pardon me for my ignorance, but I don't have any experience with this. Okay, so you can use it like this. Okay, so keep in mind, it's a strong word when used with others. Okay, you can use it for yourself. Okay, so you can say, excuse me for my ignorance, but I've never driven a car. So you can say, what does that do? Or what does this do? Okay. All right. It is very similar to inconsiderate as well, or unknowing. Okay. So there are a few definitions there. To step on someone's toe, it's very visual. Okay. So this idiom, to step on someone's toe, means to inflict harm or damage on another person. Okay? So Canadian society is very accepting. It's very multicultural. However, Canadians can be very strict when somebody steps on their toe, okay? So don't mistake kindness for weakness, right? So Canadians are very smiley people. That's why a lot of people want to come to Canada, but Canada does not permit others stepping on one another's toe. So in this sense, Canada is a very strict society. For example, if somebody is drinking in public, they will get a fine and they will be taken to the police station. If somebody doesn't pick up after their dog, they will get a fine. Okay, so in this sense, Canadians really don't like it when another person steps on their toe. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, so step on toe means to create a problem for someone. It often includes this concept of without any good reason, so or for selfish reasons. Okay? All right. Yeah, Chinyere says to take undue advantage. That's a good definition, Chinyere. I'm not sure if you looked that up online, but that's a good way to define it as well. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next question. We're still on the topic of complaining, of course. So again, this is speaking part 3. We're focusing on complaining. Here's the next question. Have the way people complain these days changed compared to 20 years ago? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So have the way people complain these days changed compared to 20 years ago? Okay. Big tip, big hint. This is present perfect. Have the way people complained. Okay. So you have the auxiliary verb have, and you have the past participle of the verb complained. Okay. So have the way people complain these days changed compared to 20 years ago. So make sure to use the present perfect in your answer. Okay. Anytime you see present perfect, the easiest way to show the examiner that you catch the present perfect and that you can use it is to simply say, yes, it has. Okay. This is a great way to make sure that you're getting some good marks for your speaking. Have the way? Yes, it has. Okay, so as soon as you hear this, answer with this. And then you can always elaborate after. In fact, this will even buy you some time because you can pause for a moment. So you can say, yes, it has. The way people have complained is different nowadays because, okay? Or even continuous. The way people have been complaining. Nowadays instead of these days. Nowadays is one word. And then you keep going, okay? Present perfect, question is present perfect. The examiner's going, woohoo, this candidate is hitting the ball out of the park. They are using present perfect for a present perfect question, okay? So super important, okay? Duong Van Thai says, definitely with the advances of technology, people have changed the way they speak out about their dissatisfaction. Now they can make direct calls to the customer satisfaction department to complain about the problems that occurred, while most customers in the old days tended to give a face-to-face complaint or just spread bad reputation about their experience to other people. Duong, very good, very nice, detailed answer. That's what you need for a good high band. You have a couple of small grammatical mistakes, but overall, that would still be a strong 7.5 answer because of the clarity and the fluency. Okay? All right. Oa says, absolutely, individuals' method of complaining has significantly developed compared to the last couple of decades. It has become faster, and a person has the ability to use email to send their complaints rather than going in person. When I had a scam 2 weeks ago, my bank account, I reported it online. Very good, OS. Again, some slight corrections, but overall, you're doing a good job. Kevin Bowie says yes. People's complaining methods nowadays. I would say yes, people's methods of complaining. I made the same correction with OS, Kevin. It sounds more natural that way. So yes, people's methods of complaining have taken many new forms. One way is to do it online, like underrating a service provider on their social media fan pages. Another approach to campaign is collecting people's petition or marching on the streets to push for changes. Very good, Kevin. So you're looking for social reform. Okay, when you go to the streets and you want change in society, you're looking for social reform. Yes. So yes, it has. The way people have been complaining nowadays is quite different than a couple of decades ago, primarily because of technology such as the internet. These days, consumers often voice their dissatisfaction online through reviews and social media, as this tends to be convenient and effective. I just gave a 2-star rating for a vacuum that I purchased because it is defective. Okay, so again, that smooth flowing example, always a good idea. It's visual and it emphasizes your answer. Okay. So here we go, everyone. Repeat after me. Now, when you're doing repetition and when you're practicing your speaking, students, please, please, please make sure to practice the questions, not just the answers, okay? So saying questions or asking questions is just as important, okay? Work in partners, change roles, ask questions, one person one time, next person the next. Okay, here we go, everyone. So speak and repeat. Have the way people complain these days changed compared to 20 years ago? Yes, it has. The way people have been complaining nowadays is quite different than a couple of decades ago, primarily because of technology such as the internet. These days, consumers often voice their dissatisfaction online through reviews and social media, as this tends to be convenient and effective. I just gave a 2-star rating for a vacuum that I purchased because it is defective. Okay, so a couple of words in this response. So again, I'm building up your vocabulary here as well. So decade, many of you know it means 10 years. Okay, I'm using this to paraphrase 20 years ago, couple of decades. Primarily, it's just a nice way to say mainly, okay, or mostly. All right. Primarily, prime being the first. Okay. All right. Now, the next one is voice opinion. And I think Kevin Bowie used this as well. So Kevin, good job on this. So voice and opinion. To strongly state or say an idea. So here, voice is being used as a verb, not as the noun like your voice. Okay, so here it's a verb to voice. All right. Okay. So those are some nice words in this context that will help you to bring up your lexical resource mark. Now, the examiner might have something like, can you give an example? But because I gave an example, so I just gave a 2-star rating for a vacuum that I purchased, likely the examiner will skip this question. If they don't, then you want to give another example, okay? All right. So let's go to the next question. And I think this is a good one. Okay. And I'm sure we're going to see some interesting answers for this question. So let's try this one together. So how can people complain effectively? So how can people complain effectively? Give me a nice full sentence answer for that question. How can people complain effectively? Okay. Nice, clear, full sentence answer. Okay. So if you need some time, by the way, if you're like, oh, that's a tough question, even if somebody asked me in my own language, I'd have to think about it. Then say that, okay? So okay, so you can say this, and it's absolutely okay. If you're doing a good job and you're being fluent and it's clear that you have a band 6, 7 English, the examiner will give you time, okay? They should. So how can people complain effectively? That's an interesting question. I need a moment to think, please. If I'm your examiner, I'll say, okay, sure, take a moment. And then you can take a few seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds. It's absolutely okay. All right. Dorsa says, I reckon that one of the practical ways might be that people can leave some comments on social media and websites. Dorsa, I think that's a good answer. Why? Always include your reason, students, okay? So, a very important tip, okay? Always explain why for your answer. Okay, keep that in mind. So why is social media effective? Because many people will see it, because it can hurt the reputation of the company. Okay, so give me a good explanation. All right, Duong says, I believe giving honest complaints are the most effective ways to solve problems, primarily because this will give others clear perspective about the issue and hence figure out a practical solution. Okay, Duong, I think you have a good answer, a good idea. Can you tell me an example where that has worked for you? A simple, smooth example. I think that could really help make it better. Okay. Ali says people should complain in details in a respectful way. They should be specific about what they want so the other half can understand and come up with a solution. Very good, Ali. Yeah, so in a respectful, calm voice so that the other party does not feel they're under attack and that a workable solution can be discovered. Absolutely. Very nice. All right. Aman Biek says, oh, I've never thought about this. I guess it would be efficient if people complained through social media and websites because more people will see the review and there's a better chance that the company or the individual will respond with a solution in order to save their reputation. I think that's the missing part. Let me put that up there so you can kind of see the missing part that the examiner is looking for. So that's an interesting question. I need a moment to think, please. In connection with my previous answers, complaining on social media is usually quite effective because many people see it. So the company is more likely to respond with an acceptable solution in order to save their reputation. In fact, when I gave my 2-star rating for the vacuum, the company sent me an email the next day and promised to replace it within 2 weeks. Okay, so this would be your more detailed answer. Okay, this is what you're looking for, and this is why those examples are good as well. You want to make those connections among your answers. So notice how I'm constantly thinking about ways to connect my responses to different questions in part 3. And the reason I'm thinking about those connections is because it improves the clarity, the level of detail, and of course my band score, right? And that's my goal, is to get that high band. So that's what I'm doing here, right? So that's an interesting question. I need a moment to think, please. In connection with my previous answers, complaining on social media is usually quite effective because many people see it, so the company is more likely to respond with an acceptable solution in order to save their reputation. In fact, when I gave my 2-star rating for the vacuum, the company sent me an email the next day and promised to replace it within 2 weeks. Okay? That's the kind of fluency and coherence that you want to build for those high band scores. Okay. Blueberry says, personally, to give an effective argument on something, one has to have various evidence to provide their claims to be true. By doing so, they would likely convince the seller that their product indeed was effective. That's why I sent pictures of my defective vacuum with my review. Okay, so Blueberry, notice how again I've got my it's just an imaginary vacuum, but notice how again I include that vacuum. So I sent pictures of my defective vacuum with my review because again it builds that coherence. Now Blueberry, the other really important point here is do not use the word you. Instead, use customers, people, shoppers, individuals, okay? The complainer, okay? So use other words. Don't use you, okay? All right, very important, okay? Abdurrahim, you can see our lesson schedule on our YouTube post. So on our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you'll get notifications. Just make sure you enable the bell, and then Abdurrahim, it'll ping you when we have a live lesson coming up. Just make sure to click the bell on your mobile and set the notification so that before the live lesson, I think like 1 hour before the class, they're like, oh, you have a live lesson coming up on Academic English Help, okay? All right. Let's go to the next question. So this could be another question asked by the examiner, okay? And sometimes they like doing this where they ask one side and then they ask the other side, okay? So what are ineffective ways of complaining? What are ineffective ways of complaining? So the examiner asked you about effective ways of complaining and then ineffective ways of complaining, all right? So here I might say something like, okay, so here I'm using the question in my answer. I'm paraphrasing it. And by this, I'm kind of buying myself some time to think about the answer as well. So one way to buy time, of course, is to simply ask for it. Like in the last example, that's an interesting question. I need a moment to think, please. Or another way is to just paraphrase the question and then go like, certainly there are some inefficient ways to advocate for one's rights. The one that comes to mind immediately, which is kind of funny because it's obviously not immediately, but it works, okay, is, all right? All right, so Kevin Bowie says, a complaint will not be heeded if it is not directly made to those in charge. This is because the message might be lost along the way or inaccurately passed on by a middleman or by middlemen. Another terrible way is to blow the problem out of proportion. Nice expression, Kevin, there, as it further encourages people to neglect the dissenting voices. Yeah, or put differently, or said differently, Kevin, it leads to retort, okay? So the other side attacking back, all right? It leads to an offensive response, okay? Ali Khazravi says, I think complaining in an impolite way is not effective. If someone has the right point, but not using a polite voice to express it, it will not be effective because the other side will feel threatened and they will attack back or they will counter attack, okay? So Ali, you have a really good start and you have a good start to an explanation. I recommend adding more to your explanation and telling your listener that if somebody is impolite when they're complaining, it will create anger and frustration in the other party, in that company or in that manager, and then they will counter attack and it will not lead to a resolution. Okay, resolution. All right. OS says a bad complaint is when a report has a lack of information, such as when the problem happened or where. Also, the claim would be weak if there is no mention of a witness or any record of the situation. All right, O is good. Again, a little bit with the grammar, but you have the right idea. Dorsa says, I hold the view that one of the unsuitable ways of complaining is people calling a company and yelling because they will ignore it and end the call, not ignore you, Dorsa. So don't use you. Okay, Dorsa, same thing. All right. Aziz Beck says, in my view, one of the methods that is not likely to result in an effective solution. Another way to say effective solution is resolution. Resolution is to report a particular product rudely, because performing this without politeness will result in aggression. Okay, aggression. Official Qatar, the interviewer will not likely ask any question out of context. They have to stick to the questions that they have on their paper. So no, they will not ask you a question out of context, okay? All right. Okay. So no, we don't need my before mind. It just comes to mind. You don't need comes to my mind. You don't need that, Flora. It's not necessary. Okay? Comes to mind is enough. This expression is enough. Okay? So, certainly there are some inefficient ways to advocate for one's rights. The one that comes to mind immediately is shouting. When a complainer is yelling at another person, that usually triggers an aggressive response, which does not lead to a desired resolution. I saw a customer yelling at a manager in the bank last week, and they were literally thrown out of the bank by security guards. Okay, so I didn't actually see that, but I'm just making it up. So being very visual and making up answers is absolutely okay, all right? Just to put a point in case, so to prove your point. Here we go. So repeat after me. Again, this is speaking, so speak and repeat. What are ineffective ways of complaining? Certainly there are some inefficient ways to advocate for one's rights. The one that comes to mind immediately is shouting. When a complainer is yelling at another person, that usually triggers an aggressive response, which does not lead to a desired resolution. I saw a customer yelling at a manager in the bank last week, and they were literally thrown out of the bank by security guards. Obviously, that did not achieve their goal. Okay? So that would be a good way to respond to this question. Again, giving an answer, explanation, and example. Okay. So resolution. You see the word solution in there. To provide an effective solution to a problem. Okay. Come to mind to think of. Somebody was asking about that expression. Okay. Throw out. To forcefully dismiss. Okay, anytime you're learning new vocabulary, make sure that you write it down. Advocate for rights. Okay, to make an argument, to debate for one's beliefs. Okay, lawyers advocate for the rights of their clients. All right, so when you're practicing your speaking, write down new vocabulary, include it as soon as you can in your responses, okay? And keep up the good practice. Here are some more questions that the examiner might ask you in relation to your Part 2 response. Let's talk about solving problems. What are the basic steps to solving problems in everyday life? Can you elaborate on that? People often say that to solve problems effectively, it is important to think outside of the box. What does this mean? Can you give examples? You can try these questions on your own, and you can practice these with other students on our websites. Remember what I said on our website, aehelp.com. You have this student partner speaking, and you can even book a speaking interview practice with me when you click on that big yellow button in your My Student account. Again, that's at aehelp.com or Academic English Help. And all you have to do is just click one of these big red buttons to join our premium packages there. Kevin, great participation. You are most welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this class. Next week, we're going to have some more live classes. We're going to have some new styles of live classes coming next week as well. So make sure to subscribe to our channel, get notifications. General IELTS students, go to this website, gieltshelp.com. That's it for me for today, for this week. I'll be back on Wednesday, which is going to be November the 10th, okay? And then we'll have a whole week of live classes, November 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So lots more classes. Until then, keep up the good studies. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay positive. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in our beautiful world at this very moment. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, Canada. Bye for now, everyone.